I submit that he sounds like a sexy beast.
All right.
Man.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just
appreciate that.
Emanating pure sex.
Hopefully as sexy as you, Leo. I cannot top that.
Ooh.
You got that deep godlike voice.
Oh yeah. If you want to get together after this, John, just let me know.
The sexy god voice.
All right.
All right, we good? We ready?
We got a bromance going, all right?
All right. Well, before you guys
bromance.
Start making out, we should probably get a podcast going.
Me and John are erotic RPing in the other channel.
Ooh.
ERP.
Role playing. Yeah. I know the lingo.
We're going to start an ASMR channel.
Those channels are weird. Do you guys ever watch any of those ASMR things?
I barely know what that is. They just make like noises that sound good, right? Is that the whole point?
I mean, as far as I know, that's exactly what it is.
Okay. I guess ASMR is the scientific term for that feeling you get like in the back of your head when something's satisfying.
What is that an abbreviation
I don't get that from like any of the things that audio sensory.
Oh, audio sensory.
Autonomous sensory meridian response.
There you
go. Ooh. I thought it was oh shit, my
rectum.
Nailed it.
That's where you feel it, right?
Shit, my rectum.
That's what you say. Right. When you say that, if you're listening to one of those channels, that's how you know it hit you.
I mean, I must be doing it wrong because I feel it in my neck, not my rectum. So.
Oh,
you're just not using the rectum to its full capacity during the ASMR session.
Well, it's ASMN for John.
Oh shit, my neck.
Welcome to the Good Games Podcast. My name is James.
My name is Leo.
And my name is John.
I love that we have like I love that we're idiots. Welcome to a very special ASMR WOW episode of the GG. I don't know. I'm just trying to come up with acronyms. We're going to talk about World of Warcraft today, but we're going to do it very pleasingly because we've discovered that ASMR is like popular, I guess.
Yeah. So let's talk about WoW.
We're gonna please your eardrums while we talk about the World of Warcraft. Yeah,
that's not very pleasing.
So, guys, I gotta tell you, I put this game in. And honestly, I started playing this video game.
Yeah.
And honestly, I've got to tell you guys, I was so fucking bored. I was stunned at how unremarkable. Okay, let me back up. I have never played World of Warcraft. Okay.
Right.
I was stunned at how unremarkable this game is. Why does this game have millions of like a huge player base?
To be fair, as far as I know, you went in like by yourself and just like ran around and did quests or something.
Probably. Yeah, of course. Yeah,
that sounds terribly boring. The game is designed to be played with other people. That's why it's called a massively multiplayer online RPG.
So you run around with other people and do quests.
Right. Well, not just quests. You when you do dungeons, you have certain roles you have to fulfill, or else your other team members can't. Like those are harder than regular quests, you know.
Okay. All right.
So like you depend on your teammates and communication and playing your role, or else your whole mission fails. It's kind of like one of those like Star Trek games where like everyone has like a role they have to fill.
Okay.
Yeah. But you can't really do that by yourself.
Okay, so you have all these like classic whatever archetypes in MMOs. You have your tank, your DPS, your healer, whatever. Like, what about these archetypes in World of Warcraft requires communication? Like, why do you have to talk to each other?
Wait, just to back up a second, isn't WoW responsible for those archetypes? Like,
Yeah, probably for a large,
or
I'm
maybe not responsible, but
They pioneered
probably
it for sure.
yeah. Oh, absolutely.
probably popularized it in other games. You know.
Yeah. I mean, I get that I came off like whatever shitting all over WoW, but like it
Well,
and I get that this game did it first, right? This game was the popular one before I'm trying to figure out what it was in this game that has drawn so many people to this game. I could not find it.
all right. The recipes are,
Uh-huh.
first of all, progression. So you start out at level 1 in this game,
Yep.
and you don't have shit. You don't have any items and no money. Barely, you have like 1 skill on your hotbar.
Yeah.
And did you play retail or classic?
I actually played retail. I did not play classic.
That was your first problem, but regardless.
Well, we're going to get into the differences between those two. But anyway, yeah.
But theoretically, you spend a little bit of time getting to level 2 relatively quickly, and then it's like, boom, you got a new skill. So then you realize, oh, the more things I kill and quests I complete, the more skills I get. So then you start, and you get gold as you're like killing all these mobs. To get better gear. So then you start feeling stronger, because the same level 1 dudes that were kind of kicking your ass before, at level 10, you're killing them no problem. So there's kind of this kind of positive feedback loop of, you kill a thing, you get stronger, that thing becomes easier to kill. Now there's other things to kill that are stronger, like, can you beat them? Right? And then once you get to around level 20, or a little bit before, like 18 to 19, then you start getting to those dungeons, those instance dungeons where I told you, where then the different roles come into play, because you have elite mobs that are very hard to kill and require maybe not communication per se, but everyone to know their role. The tank has to take all of the taunt, all the threat from all of the mobs, while the DPS are attacking it to do the most damage, while the healer heals the tank and maybe a DPS who got out of control. So then you start, and then there's like bosses, and then like really good gear that's like really rare, and then so you get rewarded for doing these dungeons. And then those dungeons get harder and harder. And there's 40-man raids at the end of the game, where you have literally 40 people, working together. And that usually there is voice communication at that point. Otherwise, you'll fail.
Oh God, that sounds like a catastrophe. A 40-person voice chat room.
Yeah, well, you have to be very strategic, even about comms keeping, and that's where you see all those YouTube videos of the guy asking people to throw more damage over time spells. We need more dots, or Leroy Jenkins running into a cavern full of elite mobs and killing his entire party. Like, those moments that are like iconic come from those raids and dungeons that are very difficult and require all that, collaboration together as players.
Okay, let me ask you this, because all of what you described is like very boilerplate MMO to me, right? Every single MMO does that. World of Warcraft came out when it was early 2000, like 15 years ago at least, right?
Yeah, 2004. And in fact, it just reached its 15-year anniversary.
Why has nobody done this better in 15 years? Why is World of Warcraft still the like de facto like king of MMOs? Like, why how has this happened?
I feel like there's been several PhD thesis documents on what that question, probably at this point. Like,
because I mean, like today we had like, well, today in modern video games, like a couple of years ago, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds came out, right? And it had like 6 months to a year of like a really like everyone was talking and playing PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. And then you had all of these, like you had Fortnite, you had Apex Legends, you had I feel like there was one that came after it that anyway, you had all of these like copycats, and now like I feel like everyone's talking about Fortnite and no one's talking about PUBG anymore. Like, how has this not happened in the world of MMOs? Like, why is World of Warcraft still the one?
I think it has, like, World of Warcraft, first of all, they did it really, really well. They took away the mantle from the classic MMORPGs like EverQuest that came before.
Okay, true,
so
That's true.
I think, the MMO genre was already there, and World of Warcraft really like perfected it, similar to how Fortnite did to PUBG. And so after that point, there was a lot of MMORPGs that have spun off, and gotten really popular for a short time, but people end up always going back to WoW. I don't know. I think there's probably a lot of reasons. One of them is probably just like you spent so much time, you invested so much into getting all that gear in World of Warcraft. Like it does take a long time to get some of that really valuable stuff in the end game. So maybe part of that is just like the investment, and also like they're always doing updates that are supposed to improve the quality of life as for gamers and stuff. So
true.
I don't know.
And in the late 2000s, every company was coming out with an MMO. I just find it. I can't believe that no one in all of these World of Warcraft copycats, nobody was able to do it better than them.
I totally agree with that sentiment, and that's why I'm so amazed. Like to me, World of Warcraft is an incredible story. I'm not like a huge World of Warcraft fan. I think I've only gotten one character to max level. He's not max level anymore because they've done updates. So I'm not like a huge player of the game, but I am super impressed that for 15 years, to your point, they've held that mantle.
Right.
They've been the biggest MMORPG. They've set the bar.
Uh-huh.
And then the only game that was able to really topple that bar, we think, is them themselves by releasing a classic version of their own game 15 years later that has now repeated the cycle. Now everyone's playing classic instead of retail.
Hey, good segue.
It's like, it's incredible to me.
Okay, now this is the next phenomenon that I can't fucking understand. We've got 15 years of patches and expansions and new features and new whatever. And at the end of these 15 years, fuck it, let's go back to what it was at the beginning. And everyone did.
There's no one else that could do that.
Everyone did.
There's no one else that could do this except for them.
I don't understand.
It wouldn't work. It wouldn't work for any other game.
But why are people doing this? Why are people going back to play Classic now?
John, you want to take a stab at this one?
I would say purely for nostalgia is what I would guess at this point.
I disagree.
I think it's just people have very fond memories of the original game, and like from what I've heard from talking to people who played the original and the new expansions, it appears that the game's gotten too easy over time. There's been too much quality of life updates, and that like the game plays itself, and people don't like that. They like the But I mean, as a new guy, I can't personally vouch for that. Like I could see it. I can see why people do like that. But
so I can come at this from the perspective of someone who's only played WoW after a lot of updates.
Okay.
And is just now playing like version 1.0 through WoW Classic.
What does that mean that the game's too easy and the game plays itself? Like what are the specific differences between WoW Classic and current WoW?
So in the retail version of WoW, which is the most recent version with all the updates, first of all, like from the very beginning, you can actually just start characters if you open up an account at like the max level, and they'll take you through like a little, it's like maybe 10 levels under the max level, and they take you through like a little introduction for like how to use your class, because you get all these skills from 110 levels now, that you didn't learn how to use, right? Mm-hmm. So you can literally start like a high-end character right away. And then even if you were to start a character from level 1, leveling up from level 1 to level 110 is like a half as long as leveling up from 1 to 60 in WoW Classic. Like it is super fast. It is way too easy.
By the way, Leo, you did hint earlier on progression. I think from the sound of it, it sounds like, and from reading on Reddit too, like people do really enjoy the leveling experience that Classic provides. And like getting to level 20 is a mini achievement in itself. And
I totally agree with that.
Getting to level 40 is a huge deal. And then getting to level 60 apparently takes literally like 200 hours of continuous game time.
Maybe even more. I'm not sure. And that's been my experience. Like I've come into WoW Classic, which is like vanilla WoW version 1.1, I think is the version number. And it is like way more fun just going through from level 1 to I'm level 25-ish now. Like that has been so much more fun than getting from level 1 to 100 something in retail, because like every level feels challenging. The mobs kill you really they're really hard. Like you're just killing these fucking like coyotes, and they're slaying you like every time. So it's like a difficult game, and it feels like an achievement every few levels. So that they've lost that progression system like throughout the years. So I don't think it's purely nostalgia. I think that WoW Classic definitely gives you more of like a difficult game that rewards progression throughout the whole journey, and that was more of their mindset back then. Whereas now they just want to get people all the way to the end really fast and then show you all the content, which is kind of boring.
Yeah. So, and I want people to understand, our listeners to understand that not only am I coming from a standpoint of somebody who's never played World of Warcraft, I'm coming from the standpoint of somebody who doesn't really like MMOs. Like I've never really played an MMO I liked, kind of sorta. We'll get into the one MMO I really like, and if you go back and listen to our archive, you know the MMO, our episode archive. So what does it mean for World of Warcraft to be difficult? Like what? Because you just make the enemies deal more damage, or you like what does it mean that the difficulty is harder? Like explain that to me. Like,
well, while World of Warcraft did something very interesting with the formula of MMOs before World of Warcraft, games like EverQuest and what was the other one, the Dark Castle or whatever, like there was one where you, like all the players it all revolved around Ultima Online, I think, or something.
Yep.
Yeah, so all those type of games were
AKA Dark
like,
Castle.
Whatever. Ultima Online, Dark Castle, yeah, same thing. All those games were like unforgiving in their difficulty. You died, your body would drop, you would lose all your stuff to like players that killed. It was all about like PKing, and people could take all the shit that you just spent hours.
What the hell's a PK? I'm not up on the MMO list.
Player
People killer, man.
Oh, gotcha.
Person killer.
Okay.
Player killer. Sorry,
killer.
actually.
Yeah. That's not really a term you hear much anymore, though. Now it's player versus player, PvP. But that's the old school term. PKing was like when people killed you, your shit dropped. People could pick it up. Your hours spent into getting all this equipment was gone because some other guy was, just bested you or whatever. WoW changed that formula, so now when you die, your loot drops, your corpse drops, but no one can pick it up. And you kind of get into this afterlife mode where you're a ghost and you can walk to your corpse and like just kind of revive yourself.
I gotta say, I really hate that mode.
Yeah.
It's like my biggest hate, like,
yeah. It's a bit of a loss. Like I definitely felt like it wasn't as cool back when it first came out. And so to James's point, like what do you really, lose by having more difficulty? But what you do feel is the time.
That's what I'm getting at. Like, where's the sense of accomplishment in this game? Because like I don't like you just spent like you talked about like, oh, getting to level 120 feels like such an accomplishment because I spent 200 hours in this game. Like, is it just like you feel like your time is being rewarded?
Well, you get stronger, so things become easier to kill, which feels good. But mostly it's just rewarding. Like, you just time. Like things are harder because they kill you more, which takes up more of your time, or they might damage your armor and you have to go repair things and use up all your gold, which takes more time to recoup your costs of repairing your armor and stuff. And that's basically it. It's just it all falls down to time being spent, I think. Okay. So the more time you spent, the better you are in the game.
I was going to add, there's a huge aspect of this game that we're kind of glossing over, which is like the social guild, raid aspect of it. And I feel like that's kind of built into the progression, right? As you get higher level, the more, the more. Yeah,
like I said, you have to do those raids. Yeah, you have to like really work with other people. And that's where it starts to become the massive multiplayer part of it is really the part that really adds to it too, because from a game mechanic standpoint, it's just basically time and rewarding your time spent in the game. But then when you're stronger, like you get into situations where other people need to complete something and they need your help and you're stronger, so you can help even though like when they're weaker. So you work together and like you feel good that you helped like a guild buddy get through some dungeon or whatever.
There's something in it for you too, obviously. You're not just gonna drop
but
everything and go help them.
Well, I'm talking about specifically like the social aspect, like you were talking about. Like there is definitely to help your brother and your guild out, sort of a social aspect too.
Right.
And then there's PvP, which to me, you guys know I can't play any game that doesn't have some sort of PvP like for very long. So I'm a very competitive player, and I like to compete against other people. So then PvP is a whole different thing where if you're not really, I mean, I don't know what the reward is. What's the reward for playing Rocket League? Like if you're not a professional getting paid money for it, there are professional.
No. But like, I feel,
sure,
I feel fantastic. Like when, and okay, there's a progression of skill in Rocket League, right? You can hone your skills, get better, and it feels awesome when you pull off like a great shot or whatever. Like that doesn't exist in World of Warcraft, so I'm trying to figure out.
Oh, sure it does.
It does exist in other forms. So I've heard stories about, from other people who play the game, and they talk about being the first guild ever in vanilla WoW back in the mid 2000s that killed this boss that was only on their server. The first guild to kill that boss, and they got this extra rare drop, and everyone recognized that guild like when they passed other players and stuff. It's almost like a second life, like people recognize them and they love that feeling, and it's like a real feeling because it's coming from other players and not just an NPC.
Yeah, you definitely get recognition for like server firsts or world firsts or whatever.
Okay.
For like running through a raid, the first guild to do it gets recognition, and actually it shows up in game. Like it'll show up like a text box that says this guild defeated this boss or whatever. But there's also a more literal like feeling of skill progression that James is talking about in player versus player, where learning the very like minute details of the timings of certain skills or the mathematics behind why certain skills like combo well with other skills and why you should be using them. Like you kind of like plan your cooldowns and your timing, all that stuff in the middle of running around and making sure that you're facing your opponent. So like there's a lot of actual skill involved, more on the PvP side of things.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think I'll just always hate MMOs, though. I don't.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I don't know until there's like a great, revolution or whatever big innovation in the MMO space. I just don't think this genre is for me. Whatever.
Well, it's not for everyone. That's definitely true.
I kind of knew going into this episode that I was gonna hate it, and like just play. I didn't spend that much time with this game. I spent maybe a couple hours. I think I got to like level 4 or 5. I was like, well, I am so bored right now. I want to do anything other than this.
Well, but I mean, I think that you kind of set yourself up for failure with every MMO you play because you always just play them by yourself. And to me personally, I'm not going to play any MMO very long if I'm not engaging with other people, either in game or like through Discord with some friends or something. Like the first thing I'll try to do when I join a brand new MMO, someone I've never played before. My friends who I do lots of MMO games with, they make fun of me because they're from Florida and I talk with them on Discord. When they're not online, I need someone to play with. So I join like a random guild full of random people on the internet, and I start talking with them on Discord and interact with them, like, and help them out. That's part of it. It's like the social part of it.
Okay. Oh yeah, absolutely. There's people that have met their spouses on WoW doing
exactly
people that,
Yeah.
Joining random guilds and just, playing together and doing raids for so long, you get to know the other people and it's definitely very
See, I just have zero interest in meeting people on the internet. Except for our lovely listeners. Thank you to all of our listeners.
Good say.
Yeah.
I don't know why it matters if they're on the internet or in person.
Because internet.
Well,
the
to be fair,
sucks.
I don't think James has much interest in meeting people in real life either. So I think it's consistent.
That's a good argument. I don't know. I'd rather meet real people than internet people. Just internet people just suck. They just suck. They're just weird and bad. I'm sorry out there. If you're an internet person, I'm sorry, but you're weird and bad.
Literally, everyone listening to this episode,
James, and show him that he's wrong, please. Someone.
Unless you're one of our listeners, I know you're great people. Our listeners are great.
Wow.
All right. Anything left to say on World of Warcraft?
Play classic. It's good.
Okay, all right. Play classic. All right. Well, let's transition into our top 5 MMOs. Now, in recent episodes, we've altered our formula a little bit. What we normally do, or in the past, what we have done is we each 5, go in a circle, and we each 5 count down from 5 to 1 our favorites, right? And we each have a top 5. What we've done more recently is we have a collective. What I've been calling the definitive top 5, where we throw games out and then we decide as a collective which are the best 5. And we are definitely doing that with this episode. There is only one MMO I can say that I've actually liked and spent a significant amount of time with. That is, I think, our second, third, fourth episode, Star Wars Galaxies. And I will readily admit the only reason I gave this game a chance is because it had the Star Wars brand on it. However, I think this game was trying to do... And this game predates World of Warcraft, I'm pretty sure, because we looked this up in that episode, and I'm pretty sure this game predates WoW. And this game was already trying to do something different and unique in the MMO genre. I don't know if it actually succeeded or not. It probably didn't. But I think one of the core design tenets behind this game was, can you make an MMO that doesn't revolve around combat? Because so many of the classes in Star Wars Galaxies are like cook or musician or like tailor. Your experience in the game, like the way you level up is like, if you're a musician, you just have to like go down to the local cantina and just like play music, and then like hopefully people listen to you, and then you get experience if people listen to you. And that's kind of your experience playing the game. And the reason I don't think this is really successful is because like how do you make that interesting unless you feel rewarded by like people coming and listening and like chatting with random people on the internet, which like we just previously established that I don't find that rewarding. But also like all of the like expansions and like end game content in Star Wars Galaxies did revolve around combat. So like if you wanted to like go meet whatever Princess Leia, she'd be like, oh hi, it's me, Leia, I'm in the Rebel base, listen, I've got some quests for you for the Rebel Alliance. And like all of these quests would be like, go out and kill a bunch of Imperials, right? Because it's thematic, it's Star Wars, you gotta go to the Imperial base and kill the Imperials. But like that inherently revolved around combat. So what happens if I'm a chef and I want to join the Rebel Alliance? Like, I think that was like, oops, we didn't really think about that.
Well, that's part of it. Like, oh, the innocents are being slain. It's like adds to the immersion.
Yeah. But the other really interesting thing this game does, and I think it actually does do it well, is like the economy. The player economy in this game is really interesting because the way the economy works in this game is it's almost entirely player run. Okay, so I mentioned a second ago, like a lot of the jobs are like musician, chef, tailor. So if you want like better armor, the way you find good armor in this game is, well, either become an armor smith or a tailor or whatever and make it for yourself, or you have to go to a tailor, go to one of their shops, because there were like player houses and player villages in this game, which was also a pretty big unique first. You could build your own cities and zone your own towns and stuff, which is crazy. But anyway, you go find an armor smith shop. You actually have to pay this person. But this person had to have spent a lot of time gathering the requisite materials and stuff. So their time is actually worth something. So they would charge you whatever they think is a fair price. So you would have to, the whole economy is player run. The best goods you have to pay somebody else for. And like similar to that is like being a doctor or a musician. You have to like go to your local cantina and tip these people, right? Anyway,
that part was really cool. But like when you think about it, though, it's not much different than what we were talking about with WoW. Like, what do you really get at the end of the day for that? It's just like money. What is that? You buy a house. It's just more time in the game, right? Like,
yeah.
you know.
No, I'm just saying the economy itself is interesting.
It was. I thought it was very interesting.
The economy is interesting. I don't know if the economy is rewarding. It's just an interesting aspect that they were able to, I would say, somewhat successfully come up with a player-run economy.
Yeah, I thought it was very successful.
I think if you eventually, like, if you play that game for an extended amount of time, I think you just end up with like oodles and oodles and oodles of money, because there were more ways to get money in that game than there were to like. There were more ways to put money in the player economy than there were to take money out of the economy. So like you end up with like people who have played this game forever basically just have infinite money, which like whatever, I don't know. Anyway, I spent a lot of time talking about this game. That is the only game I will nominate for our top 5.
Well,
what do you guys got?
You spent enough to talk about 5 games worth, so you made it last. That's
yeah,
good.
yeah. So I'm going to shut up now, and you guys can talk about the other 4. But I insist, damn it, that Star Wars Galaxies is in our top 5 somewhere.
Well, I will back you up on that. I have definitely Star Wars Galaxies is in my top 5. I'd also like to nominate a game that's not very popular, but I thought was fantastic. And to your point, James, you said that it's the only game that you really gave a lick of credit to, and part of it is because it was Star Wars related, and you're just a Star Wars fan.
Yeah.
In my experience, I'm not really a big MMO player. Like, I've played a lot of them, but not really to very long periods of time, except for the ones that grabbed me by like the Star Wars one, the Lord of the Rings one, and the Matrix Online. That's the next one.
Oh,
those
Matrix
3
Online.
games I loved, and part of it was because I just love Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, and the Matrix. Like, put me in a world where I can be immersed in that, setting and plot. Like, that's all I need. So I want to throw out the Matrix Online and Lord of the Rings Online, which I played for like 2 years. It's fantastic.
But to my point about nobody's done this better in 15 years, were any of those games doing anything different than World of Warcraft other than just put, a Matrix skin over the mechanics?
I mean, they might have had like a little bit of innovation with like, how like player classes or skill, like how that flowed or something. I don't know. I think
talk about it.
Well, Matrix Online actually had like a fighting thing where like it was like your skills were martial arts skills, so you had to actually press certain ones, almost like a fighting game, like a combo,
Okay.
But I mean, it was kind of gimmicky, and I think they changed it a lot like after launch, and it wasn't a hugely popular game. So
yeah, by the way, I should also mention Star Wars Galaxies got a lot of patches after launch. There were 2 really big patches that like everyone fucking hated. Because basically what they did is they just made the game more like World of Warcraft, kind of, sort of, basically, and everyone fucking hated it. And then that game kind of died a slow death. However, if you're interested in the game I described earlier in this podcast, Star Wars Galaxies, you can play the game as it was on an emulated server. It's called what we played it? What's it called? Star Wars Galaxies.
It was some of the B.
I can't remember. Google Star Wars Galaxies emulation. You'll find it. So what do we got? We got Star Wars Galaxies, we got Lord of the Rings Online, and the Matrix Online. John, you got anything else?
Yes. I nominate Guild Wars 2.
Oh, okay. What's special about Guild Wars 2? Why do you like it?
So I'm kind of in between Leo and you in terms of my MMO experience. Like, I've definitely dabbled in some, but I'm not an expert by any means. So by the time I was interested in MMOs, Guild Wars 2 was rolling around, and it made a lot of promises in the MMO genre. And I think one of them, which it sort of delivered on, was like the focus on more action-oriented combat, at least comparatively towards to WoW. And so, you play the game and you feel very involved with the leveling experience and just, casting spells. Like, the whole combat system was really, really cool. And, there was other areas of improvements that it had over WoW. Even though I haven't played WoW, it just played like a really good game overall. And, I think to what Leo was saying earlier, I had a group of friends that I was playing with, and that was my true first, like, full-on MMO experience.
Nice.
I like Guild Wars 2. I think it's a fine game. I actually like Guild Wars 1 a little bit more.
Why?
Guild Wars 1
Uh,
forced the players to that the whole concept of knowing your role and like working together with, especially with like random people and stuff. That was like the only way to play Guild Wars 1. When you left town, it was an instance world, so the only way to go out was by partying up with people ahead of time, and you pretty much like needed to party with people ahead of time. Like, it's like they took the soloing out of MMOs with Guild Wars,
Okay.
which actually I thought was pretty cool.
yeah, I mean, I played Guild Wars 1 for like a few hours, and that wasn't my thing. I definitely sensed that was a more hardcore version of WoW. I mean, I heard the level cap was like 30, and
Yeah,
when
it's
I
like
played
20 or
it,
30. Yeah, it was low.
Yeah, yeah, like all the skills are very specific, like very like you press like just like WoW, like you just learn the skill and you memorize the cooldown and when to press it. That's
Yeah,
basically
it was a more
you know?
traditional like more MMO combat, kind of like WoW. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, cool.
So what?
Guild Wars 2.
Yeah, go ahead.
That's what's next.
That's like 4 games. We got Matrix Online, Lord of the Rings Online, Star Wars Galaxies, and Guild Wars 2.
I also would like to add one that was kind of a mixed bag on people's opinions, but I am very fond of it, and that was Final Fantasy 14.
Oh yeah, that is a game I recently spent. I don't know, maybe close to 5 hours in.
That's funny.
And I still fucking hated it. It's
Really?
just like every other MMO.
Yeah.
It's every MMO. They're all the same.
I mean, back to just once WoW came out and all these other MMOs came out, they were just like, hey guys, it's like WoW, but in your favorite game universe or in your favorite movie universe or whatever. Like I'm a sucker for those, and I love the Final Fantasy like style. Final Fantasy WoW is really good.
I mean, I will not deny at all that the reason I played Star Wars Galaxies was because Star Wars, but like also that game was at least doing a couple things a little bit different.
Yeah, no, I mean, my point is you don't have to be doing anything different for me. Like,
yeah, okay, so just WoW except Final Fantasy.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Yeah,
like,
okay,
I'm
gotcha.
happy.
All right, okay, that's fair.
I'm
that's
like,
fair.
I'm drinking potions and stocking up elixirs, and I'm seeing like dark knights and dark wizards and priests or whatever, all the classes or whatever. I'm like, hey, I get it. It's Final Fantasy. See people riding chocobos,
Yeah. All right, so that's 5 games. Is there anything else?
I feel like John.
Is anyone gonna actually nominate World of Warcraft?
It's on my list. It's on my list.
The king of MMOs.
I put it in my personal top 5. I put it at like towards the end of the top 5. Like it's not my favorite MMO, but it's in the top 5. Like
Okay.
4-ish.
Okay.
Like it has to go above Matrix Online just because Matrix Online was hot garbage. But
okay. Yeah. Okay. What else is that? Is there any other? Is that our 6? We got 6 now, right?
Yeah. WoW, Star Wars, Final Fantasy, Lord of the Rings, Matrix Online, and Guild Wars 2.
Yeah.
Did you guys ever play RuneScape?
I did not.
I played very little of it, and I'm talking like the original RuneScape.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't put it in a contender for top 5, but I was just curious on your guys' thoughts on that game.
I know it's had a lot of success, like somehow.
Yeah, exactly.
People keep playing that game.
Yeah, people still play it.
Another honorable mention: Maple Story.
Yeah, I did play a little bit of Maple
2D Story. MMORPG.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
There you go. That's something different.
That's just a technical.
That game's garbage.
Why is it garbage?
It's garbage. That game is such a money grab. I hate it.
This,
Like you grind forever.
Yeah.
You will play the game for like 5 days straight, and you'll be level 20, and you'll hate life. Like, why am I playing this?
That's World of Warcraft Classic though,
Yeah,
right?
No, Classic is a little bit more rewarding. Like here's a bone every now and then.
They give you a little bit more positive feedback, but that's a good point actually that we really never touched on. There's a very real difference between what is it? Like Western gaming versus what, like, international opinions on what an MMO should
Yeah,
be.
it's the same for
Okay,
Black
what's the
Desert,
difference?
right? Like Black Desert has the same
Mm-hmm.
mentality of like here, like this game is just a platform for all the different things that you can do. It's more like a carnival type of ordeal than
I
a
think
straight progression.
basically everyone outside of the United States, when they play an MMO that like becomes popular, it's because they hate themselves and they just want to like kill things and have no positive feedback for hours and hours and hours. Like in World of Warcraft, you'll have like a quest, so like you have to accomplish, like you have to kill 5 of these things, and then come to me, and I'll give you a bunch of XP and an item. So they give you that positive feedback like more frequently. You play like some Korean MMO, like you're going from level 1 to 100 just by killing the same pig over and over. Like it is brutal. Talk about being bored.
Yeah, it's extremely boring. I like the cartoony aspect of it. The art style is really cool, and it's like gameplay is fun, but the grind is just unreal.
Yeah, Maple Story is definitely like that.
What about the Old Republic, Leo? No, the Old Republic?
It doesn't really make my top 5, man.
Oh, wow.
Well, I mean, like, okay. I only have room for one Star Wars game. I'm not going to put it above Galaxies.
True. I do love Galaxies way more than the Old Republic.
Yeah, that's
specifically because the Old Republic is just wow Star Wars.
Yeah, well, that's true. Hey, but you know what? When it comes to them doing something different, they spent a lot more time and money on the kind of story cutscenes and voice acting. WoW has none of that.
Yeah, did they? I mean, I know they did, but like, is that really effective?
They spent more time and money. I didn't say it was like effective, but
because like they had all these voice acted cutscenes and everything, but like at the end of the day, it was still like go kill 5 womp rats and then come back. Like it was still, it was just like I don't know.
Yeah, no,
they
I
just
agree.
like I agree. They just like put some air freshener on a pile of shit and they're like, look, but like underneath it's still a pile of shit.
And it's really interesting because, and maybe this is just a recent trend in recent years, but it seems to me that players definitely appreciate the games that are more like old classic MMOs where like they're very unforgiving. And if you die, it like really matters because you lose everything. Like that seems to be like coming back, I think, more or something. And, I don't know. And it seems like that was all before WoW. So I don't know. It's just weird that nothing ever tried anything different because people seem to want something different.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I need, if I were to get into MMO, I need a big shakeup. I need something like totally different.
I want like
than what we have now.
I've always wanted like there's an anime called Sword Art Online that it's like a virtual reality MMORPG. When that gets created, you guys are never going to see me again. Like I want that. I'm just going like,
all right. So
eventually.
So do we have our 6? Do we want to get rid of one of these?
Yeah, I guess we just got to cut one of these. I mean, I'm good, John. If you want to just cut Matrix, I think that's fair.
Sure.
Okay, because we got Galaxies, World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy XIV, Guild Wars 2, Lord of the Rings, and The Matrix.
Yeah, pretty much everything up until The Matrix, I think, is definitely a definitive top 5.
All right, what's our number 5?
Lord of the Rings.
Fuck you, man. Lord of the Rings is so good. It's at least worth 3.
Okay.
Well, what's number 5? I mean, I'm not an MMO guy, so I'm fine with putting Galaxies at 5. I just want people to know that it A, exists, B, you can still play it, and C, it actually does some interesting things.
I would say Galaxies 5.
All right, that's fine.
I guess I'll agree to that. I think it's a little higher. It's above WoW to me, but.
Well, do you want to fight for it?
No way.
Without Matrix, WoW is at the bottom of my list for sure. But that's just me.
I mean, I disagree, but I don't really feel like fighting for it because I'm not like a giant MMO nerd.
Why don't you? Have you played Galaxies, John?
I have not, but the way you've described it, it seems more different than a traditional MMO, where it's like the gold standard.
Yes,
WoW's the gold. It's the King Daddy. It's it's the the father of all modern games.
Yeah,
in a
but
way.
sometimes
I'm not saying put it above WoW. I'm saying is it higher than 5?
well, I am saying
yeah, it's
put
higher
it
than
above
5.
WoW is my thing. Like when you're different, you're innovative, and you are able to open people's eyes to things that can't they're not used to, and it
Just
ends
so
up being
you
more enjoyable.
know, Galaxies is older than WoW.
Of course.
I know. Yeah, that's what we were saying. Galaxies predates WoW,
But
and
how
still
is
has
it-
these more
It's
interesting
not trying
ideas.
to be. It's not trying to be different than WoW. It's just its own
Well,
thing.
I mean, they still.
I know it's not trying to. It wasn't trying to beat WoW. It was just more innovative.
But that's what I'm answering Leo's argument because that's what he's saying. It's
No, I mean,
its
I'm
own
not saying that
thing.
they went out to be different than WoW. I'm just saying that
No, yeah.
the difference in
That
the
they
games,
were.
yeah, but like the way Star Wars is different is better. That's what I'm saying.
Why isn't it around if it's so good?
Because they fucking made it like WoW, and nobody wanted to play fucking WoW anymore.
I mean, like only WoW can be WoW is the problem, and they made it more WoW like. Yeah.
Galaxies is not around because WoW exists, and
John,
they wanted to just copy WoW, but nobody wants another WoW.
Let me ask you this, John: how many other successful theme park MMOs that are very similar to WoW retain their success?
Very little.
Yeah.
Almost none.
Yeah. So, to be different is the only way you could really compete.
Okay, is there anything else?
I agree it's different, but if we're doing a top 5 MMOs, I don't know if Star Wars Galaxies.
Let's just all agree and put Final Fantasy 14 at the bottom.
I'm perfectly fine with that.
Okay.
That's fine.
Because it's not very different. It's just an FF skin over the top.
It's just Final Fantasy WoW.
Okay.
Sorry, Final Fantasy 14 games. 14 fans. Well, actually, no, not sorry. These are the best 5 in the world. That's an accomplishment.
Yeah, I mean,
you should feel
it's better than Rift.
That's good.
I would even say that, like, for all the 14 fans, like, putting Galaxies above 14 is kind of an insult in a way.
Why is there an insult?
No, Galaxies is one of the best like MMOs ever, dude, for sure.
Okay.
Yes, it's awesome. You got to play it, John. It's amazing. You're
gonna
gonna dance for me, and I'm gonna tip you, and you're gonna like it.
This is
by the way,
super weird.
By the way, if you want to know why Galaxies is so great, go back and listen to our Star Wars Galaxies episode and listen to our 10K Easy Money story about Leo and I in a basement fighting an old man, punching him in the face while all of us are naked. Meanwhile, Ryman is playing very bad Star Wars music.
That was so fun.
And we're all naked in a basement.
That was so
That
fun.
is something that happened in that game, and it was fucking great.
And it was like authentically part of the game mechanics. Like,
yes, yeah. I'm just like punching an old man in the face over and over again, and then like Ryman's like, and we're all naked, and it was great.
Yeah, that doesn't even count.
Can you do that in WoW? I don't think so.
That doesn't even count the weird lady that bought us a house and made us like hang out in her hot tub or whatever.
Oh, I thought that was the same person. I think it was the same person, different characters.
Yeah. Well, this was an old lady.
Did this game have like in-game voice chat?
No.
You guys have to do. Okay, all right.
You have to text chat. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, and then that's right. That's why we were naked because we were all in our hot tub. That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, so good.
Fun times.
So good. 10K easy money.
That's how an MMO should be. John, do you approve of like Google user reviews? Like, do you follow like if someone?
I mean, that's all I have to go off of is like other people's experiences.
I mean, like for Google users, 95% like the Star Wars Galaxies.
Okay.
That's
so good.
Very high.
So good.
I mean,
okay, I believe you guys. All right.
All right. Number 5 is Final Fantasy 14 then?
Yeah, let's go with that.
All right, so we got left WoW, Lord of the Rings, Guild Wars 2, and Galaxies.
To me,
you guys love Galaxy so much. I think it's Lord of the Rings for number 4.
If you let me put Guild Wars 2 at number 3, I think that's fair.
What are you gonna put out? Okay, that's fine.
Because I guess Lord of the Rings is just kind of like WoW, Lord of the Rings WoW skin.
Okay.
You know.
Number 4, Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Number 2, Guild Wars 2.
Because they did a little bit different
All right.
combat, so I'll give them.
You
the
mean number 3?
Number 3, Guild Wars.
Guild Wars.
Number 3. Yeah.
Number
I'll
3,
take-
Guild Wars 2. Did I say that backwards?
Yeah,
You said 2 and Guild Wars 2.
yeah. No,
I thought I said number 2, Guild Wars 3.
number 3, Guild Wars 2.
Number 3, Guild Wars 2. All right, we got left WoW and Star Wars Galaxies. Which is the best MMO ever, and which is number 2?
All right.
I don't think Galaxies is number 1. I'm just gonna say
To
that.
be fair, traditionally speaking, when it comes to successful MMORPGs,
Right.
I guess you got to give it to Star Wars.
Right, exactly.
No, I'm just joking.
yeah.
I'm just joking.
I was gonna
joking.
say.
I was
gonna say this is not the tradition. This is the Good Games podcast, and we are making the definitive list here. This is
No.
okay.
I mean, you guys are majority. It's 2-1. You're
No.
you're
I'm
number
just
one.
kidding. I'm just kidding. I don't want to do the people that way. I want to be, authentic. World of Warcraft is
Right.
the greatest MMORPG of all time.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
you can't really argue that.
I'm just happy that Galaxies is number 2 for some fucking reason.
I genuinely believe Galaxy is number 2. Like that's my list. That's how I had it.
Here's my only. I am not an MMO guy. Here's my only supporting argument that Galaxies is number 2 because I'm not an MMO guy, and that is the only MMO I've spent like a lot of time with.
I mean,
The
that's
only
fair.
one.
That's.
Yeah.
I mean, that is.
Yeah.
That is a category of like why a game is good. If you're not a traditional player of that type of game.
And like I will not deny that it's Star Wars, and that's why I spent a lot of time with it. But here's the other thing: the Old Republic came out. It's obviously Star Wars, right? I
Not as
don't
good.
like that game.
Not as good. Yeah.
It's boring. It's just WoW. It's
No,
just
that's-
WoW Star Wars,
That's
and that's why.
surprising.
Yeah. So there you go. We're not. At least we have our reasons, right? All right. So number 2, Star Wars Galaxies. Number 1, of course, World of Warcraft. So let me count that up again.
I just want
Yeah,
to clarify that
Yeah.
number 1 I give to World of Warcraft Classic.
yeah. Oh, do you agree, John?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So classic is definitively better than retail.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think one thing
Retail, I don't know, normal.
Yeah.
I don't know
No,
what
I
it's
mean,
called.
World of Warcraft retail doesn't make the top 5 to me. Like
Okay.
it's not even worth playing.
I just gotta say it's pretty funny. Like the developers have been like caught on video several times saying, "Oh, people don't want vanilla WoW. They don't want the original WoW. Like no one wants that." And
Everyone
they've, like,
wanted that.
Everyone wanted it. People have been asking it for like over however long, and like repeatedly they're like, "No, people." Like they got caught on camera saying, "The people don't know what they want. They don't want that." Like they legit said something. I said something near like very close to that.
Hold on.
And then-
Just before we go to endorsements, like really try to wrap your head around that for a moment. Imagine that you made a game that was so iconic and so popular that 15 years after you released that game, people wanted you to release the game again. like it is beyond belief to me that like literally that's the WoW killer is itself. It's from the past.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? It boggles my mind.
Yeah,
But
It does.
Yeah,
it does. It boggles my mind too.
it's insane.
but it is really good. Like I can't argue it. Like they should have never made all the like after a certain point they were making too many changes. So
Well, I think that's part of the thing that developers were trying to avoid, right? Like now they have to acknowledge that all of their expansions are crap.
yeah, they changed the game a lot. Right, is what it comes down to. Yeah. All right.
So to reiterate, we've got number 5, Final Fantasy 14, number 4, Lord of the Rings Online, number 3, Guild Wars 2, number 2, Star Wars Galaxies, number 1, World of Warcraft Classic.
Let's
Those are
endorse
the
some shit.
definitive best top 5 MMOs. Let's endorse some shit.
I like it.
Who's got some shit to endorse? Fuck it. I got some shit to endorse. I'll go
Okay.
first.
Sure.
I'm going to endorse. I think this might be a repeat endorsement, but I think, Leo, you might have endorsed this in the past. I don't honestly remember. But I'm going to piggyback on a previous endorsement of Google Wi-Fi. So as a recent homeowner, I was like, okay, hopefully my old piece of shit router will still have coverage throughout my much bigger house, even though I'm moving from a smallish apartment to like a big house. No. That shit doesn't work.
Yeah.
Especially because we have like a separate. My big problem is we have two separate units, and then there's like this weird porch patio area that divides the two units of my house. And I was like, oh God, like how do I figure out how to get coverage across the entire? Turns out the solution to that is a mesh Wi-Fi network, and I went with Google Wi-Fi. Yeah, I went with Google Wi-Fi, so I have like 3 different nodes, and they all whatever talk to each other and communicate and whatever. All
High
that
tech
bullshit.
mesh jargon.
Yeah, I will endorse it. It works. It was.
Yeah.
I mean, it was more expensive than like a whatever mid-range router, but like I don't know, I got what I paid for. Like I have excellent Wi-Fi signal in I am, all the way in the end of the other end of the house from the actual modem, like where my cable line comes in, and I get excellent Wi-Fi thanks to high-tech mesh routing. Wi-Fi mesh routing. Thanks, Google.
It's good. It's worth the investment in my opinion, because it's like it works flawlessly.
Yeah. Especially if you have a big house, or if you have an awkwardly laid out house with 2 units like I do.
It's pretty crazy how much Google knows about networking. Like they are single-handedly responsible for like the most advanced fiber optic network like ever made, and they have like tons of data centers all over the country which all network together. So
I mean they're basically Skynet, dude. Like
I was just about to make that joke. Yeah.
I've been making that joke for 10 years, man. You can't take it from me.
All right. That's your joke. What do you have to endorse, Leo?
Well, as you guys know, this weekend I partaked. Is that how you say that? Or partook?
Oh,
partook.
There you go. Partook, I think.
Partook?
Yeah, partook. Yeah.
Partaken?
I partooken.
I've partookened. All right. So
I partook. Yeah.
I partook in a what you would call a game jam hosted by Alaka Jam. We've done a couple, me and you, James, called Ludum Dari.
We sure have.
But this one was just another company, and there's ones like every weekend. So, but to make a game within 48 hours based on some theme that they announced, like right at the start of the game jam, I used an engine called Unity Engine, which we're very familiar with, and that is my endorsement. It is. It's one of the main 2 game engines that are like recommended for people to start learning. I would say it's Unity or Unreal, as far as like the ones that are used across like that what am I trying to say, like professionally industry. Yes, the professional industry prefers one of those 2 engines. There's a lot of other engines that are like more for like hobbyists, like Game Maker and the Lua library or whatever, but I decided to learn Unity because you can use
Lua, like adventure games.
I think it's Love 2D on Lua. The Lua is the programming language, I think, or the library.
Is it? Okay, I don't even know what I'm talking about.
I don't know.
All right, anyway, keep going.
Yeah, I don't know enough about it to care. The point is Unity. We chose primarily because the scripts are written in C#, which all 3 of us are very familiar with. So that is what I've always chosen to learn. And it works.
Oh, it is a programming language, Lua. Okay.
Yeah. I think it's Love 2D or something is like the engine. But so
is it used for AI, Lua?
Maybe. Yeah.
I love that we keep trying to derail your.
So my endorsement, to be clear, is Unity.
Yeah.
Anyway, you can make games really fast, and there's lots of cool assets online to help. And I would endorse.
I thought you were going to endorse doing. Oh yeah, and
I would endorse doing a game jam. Yeah,
there you go. There you go. Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. You can you don't have to worry about my game's not very good, even though my game really wasn't very good, because everyone's game is not very good when you're like in a solo competition and you have 48 hours to make a game from scratch. So. It's quite fun.
Yeah. Those go hand in hand. Unity, you learn Unity and make a game.
Yeah. Also, be on the lookout
Yeah.
for Tower Archer Defense coming to the iPhone and Android stores near you
Ooh,
eventually.
is that your Game Jam game?
Yeah, I'm gonna try to see it through. I'm gonna treat the Game Jam as a prototype.
Tower Archer Defense.
Tower Archer Defender, actually.
That's such a boring name. You gotta come up with a better name.
Tad, man, Tad.
Okay, there you go, Tad.
Yeah.
That's a little bit better.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay. John, what you got?
So I've been doing a lot of cooking lately.
Oh.
And,
Ooh.
it's not a cooking recommendation, but I've been watching a lot of like TV in the background while I do my cooking.
Yeah.
And so I have like one of those smart TVs, and I have like these like free channels that come with it, and I've been flipping through it just to have something going on in the background, and I discovered a 24/7 James Bond film channel, which I've been keeping it in the background.
Yes,
so
awesome.
Fuck yes.
I just have like I just that's my endorsement. Just on Pluto TV is the name of like the program. You can download an app and also cast it if you want.
Yes.
But yeah, just having like these really classic James Bond movies playing in the background while you're doing stuff, like it's just amazing just to look up and see all the subtly over the top action scenes. And
some of those movies are so fucking bad. What's your favorite one you saw recently?
I forgot the name of the movie, but there was a scene in it where it's like the guy with the metal teeth.
Jaws?
And he bites
Jaws.
It was Jaws. He bites the like Bond and this girl are in a cable car going down this ski lift.
Yeah, that's GoldenEye, I think.
No, it's not GoldenEye. That's A View to a Kill, maybe? Hang on, let me see if I can figure that out.
So he Jaws. He bites the cable to snap the cable car off the rail.
Oh,
and
yeah.
He gets in another cable car while Bond Bond gets out of his and slides down with some kind of like tie or something. And there's this really goofy camera work where it like zooms in on Jaws' face as he's like speeding up in the car, catching up to Bond, and he's just smiling very goofily.
Yeah.
And then there's like this oh shit moment where James Bond gets off of the cable and lands safely in the ground below, and then he just crashes into the end of the cable station, and there's just a big explosion.
I was definitely wrong. That's from Moonraker. One of the stupidest jump the shark over the top, very dumb, good, bad James Bond movies. Moonraker.
Yeah,
I've definitely seen that scene. I don't remember most of that movie though.
Yeah.
I think my favorite of the old ones is Goldfinger.
Yeah, Goldfinger, yeah.
Classic.
I think Jaws was in that movie too as a villain.
Goldfinger?
No, the Goldfinger villain was...
No. Oh, his name's just Auric Goldfinger. Goldfinger is the villain in that movie, but that's, I think, one of the first appearances of Odd Job. I think that's who you're thinking of.
Maybe, yeah.
Great movies.
Oh, yeah. Every day
some of those are not great movies at all. Very, very not great movies, but that's why they're great movies.
Yeah.
Every day is a different Bond actor. Like yesterday was Sean Connery, and today is Jan Rabison.
Is who?
Jan Rabson.
What?
Jan Rabson?
I'm sorry? Who?
Sorry. What's his? Richard Keel.
Who are these people?
Sorry, I'm naming the Jaws people, the Jaws actor, because that's who I have open in front of me.
I was gonna say none of these people have played James Bond before.
Turns out it's not a James Bond like marathon channel. It's only sometimes shows James Bond and then sometimes shows like James Bond parody movies.
Let me start this over. So yesterday was Sean Connery, today was Roger Moore.
Oh,
Roger Moore.
Yeah, that's
the iconic Roger Moore, the secret best James Bond because he's the goofiest James Bond.
Yeah.
I love Roger Moore as James Bond because he's just so goofy.
Who's your favorite James Bond?
Roger Moore, because he's so goofy.
No, you said you love him. Is he your favorite?
Yes. Yeah, he's my favorite. Yeah.
Anyway,
Okay.
Yeah, good
All
movie.
right, should we end this podcast?
Probably. It's been nice
All right.
hanging out with you guys.
It has been nice. It's
I'm gonna
always
miss you
it's always
until the
nice.
next one.
But for now, for the Good Games podcast, I am James.
I'm Leo.
And I'm John.
We'll see you next time. Goodbye.
See ya.
Goodbye.
See ya.
You know, my least favorite James Bond has starred in my favorite James Bond movie. I despise Daniel Craig as James Bond. I cannot stand him as James Bond.
It's kind of
fucking loved Skyfall. I love that movie. That was an amazing Bond movie. I just don't like Daniel Craig as James Bond.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Skyfall was really good though.
I love
because
Skyfall,
Daniel Craig is not he's not James Bond personified. Like he's this pouty blonde dude. Like in all of his
he's grown on me.
I mean, he's got the suave aspect of Bond down, but like I don't quite buy his one-liners. Like
that's the thing is he's more like a super serious Bond.
Yeah. Because like,
he's like just try hard.
Yeah, to me, like Sean Connery and Roger Moore were the masters of the like groaner, like oh my god, like one-liner, like pun deliveries. Whereas like I just don't buy that coming from Daniel Craig. Like you know
who's a better James Bond than Daniel Craig?
Yeah,
the kid from
literally
Kingsman.
Anyone. the kid from what?
Kingsman, the James Bond like similar movie.
Give Daniel Craig a little bit more credit than that, man.
I think he's a fine actor. I just don't like him as James Bond. He can't deliver the goofy lines, and that's what I like about James Bond, or the dumb, goofy lines.
Yeah, I mean,
he's a super serious action star. And
exactly.
He's like all pouty.
Exactly. Yeah.
To be fair, the modern Bond films are definitely a departure from the film direction of the older movies. Like it's definitely a little bit more serious and not less.
Yeah. I would argue that the film kind of revolves around the actor a little bit. Like, I think that the films matched the actor a bit.
Remember how goofy Moonraker John was? Remember how fucking goofy? That's because Roger Moore was in it. And Roger Moore is just a goofy James Bond.
Yeah.
And I mean, the perfect balance to me.
Some of the Sean Connery films are pretty goofy. Like,
but that's the point. That's the point. There's got to be a little bit of goofiness to it.
Yeah. Daniel Craig just can't deliver the goofiness. However, I still love Skyfall.
Yeah, but too much goofy is also bad. Don't get me wrong. Like to me,
too much
Pierce
goofy
Brosnan
is Moonraker. Go watch Moonraker. That is definitely too much goofy.
Yeah. That's actually right where I left off. I started watching every single Bond film.
Oh, okay.
And I watched all of Sean Connery's.
Yep.
I think I skipped the spin-offs between him and Roger Moore. I started. Wasn't there one it was like a one random movie by like another actor?
Oh, not fuck.
George Lazenby.
Whoa, there you go, busting out the Lazenby. All right, yeah, you got it. That's.
I was like really into this.
Open?
No,
wow. Okay, I'm impressed.
I did my research. Like I was asking. It's still on my wish list. I want like the full collection.
George Lazenby on Your Majesty's Secret Service. Yeah.
Yeah, and I skipped that one. So I was going to straight to Roger Moore, and that's where I left off.
Okay.
Yeah. I have to go back and watch
those movies. A lot of the Roger Moore movies are fucking terrible, but that's why I like them. The Man with the Golden Gun, Roger Moore. He's not too goofy in that movie. It's just kind of it's the right amount of goofy and the right amount of not goofy.
Now that's the one that the spinoff by Leslie Nielsen, right?
What?
There's a spinoff of The Man with the Golden.
When you say spinoff, that spinoff and parody,
a parody
and a spinoff are two different things. Yes,
okay, whatever.
The
There's
Naked
a parody
Gun
of.
The Naked Gun. Well, The Naked Gun is just kind of I don't know if it's as much of a James Bond parody as it just is an
I
excuse
thought it
for.
was.
Sort of.
I have another endorsement. Another endorsement is I've always been told that I should definitely watch Airplane, in
Yeah.
which Leslie Nielsen starred, and
Oh, yeah.
I never gave it like a full sit through
Yeah.
until like last weekend, and oh my
Yeah.
god, it is so good!
Yes.
It is such a great
That's
movie.
a great,
John,
great movie. Great
John,
movie.
I know you haven't seen Airplane.
No,
Go watch it tonight.
Yeah.
All right.
John is not going to like Airplane. I already know.
No, that movie has aged well. Surprisingly,
Yes.
surprisingly
absolutely.
well.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, except for like the black people jive talk thing. Oh, I don't know. Maybe.
No, that's exactly why it's so good. Like that is so relevant. That joke. Like,
Okay.
oh my god.
All right. Okay.
Like the white stewardess can speak jive fluently. Like,
I guess
amazing.
that's funny. I don't know.
That's so funny. I don't know.
All right.
Yeah. No, that's a great movie though. The joke that has aged the best, and I can't remember if this is in Airplane 1 or Airplane 2, the joke that has aged the best is at the beginning of one of those, there's a poster for like Rocky 17, which like, and these movies were made in like the late 80s. Like,
yeah, I remember that.
We're on Rocky 17. Like these movies are going on forever.
Yeah. Oh man.
Yes, that was a correct joke.
That's true.